Ashes of Creation is entering Phase 3 of its Alpha 2 testing on the 4th of August, and every few weeks a question pops up on the subreddit. Is Ashes of Creation fun? Is it worth buying? Should I play now or wait for a release? And if you're looking for a quick and easy answer to help you make that decision, here it is. Ashes of Creation is in Alpha. If you don't like bugs, if you don't like half-baked or missing systems, you probably won't enjoy it. You might get a good few hours out of it. The combat is fun for what's there. The world is beautiful at times, but it really can't be stressed enough that this isn't early access. It's an alpha test. To put it bluntly, Ashes of Creation's alpha is a skeleton of a game. You can see the bones of it all, but there's very little to sink your teeth into. This isn't going to be your forever game today, and that's okay. It's what you should be expecting of a game in this stage of development. It doesn't mean it's failing, it's being built. What that means is you're going to see and experience a lot of bugs if you play. Some things won't work as they should, some will be broken, you might lose items, you might lose progress, you might even be working towards a goal that becomes unachievable. And while bugs are common in games today, and you might be used to them, in an alpha, this is taken up a level. Small scale bugs will often be present for weeks, if not months, as developers tackle bigger issues. On top of this, content isn't fully fleshed out. Content will be underbaked, broken, over or underpowered. Your progress will get wiped on occasion, and updates to the game will both bring improvements and new bugs with greater frequency than you'd see in a full release title. So if you dislike bugs, if you have a hard time playing games with graphical issues, and you don't like running into roadblocks that are unclear, then this isn't the right time for you to jump in. If you're like me, and can deal with messy systems, see through the jank, and deal with random consistent bugs, there is some enjoyment to be had with Ashes systems, but you need to remember you're there to test and ideally provide feedback. And my primary example, if you haven't made up your mind, would be questing. Questing today largely boils down to grinding the same or similar mobs over and over and over, through various commissions as well as the odd more unique quest. You won't find a full suite of options here. They won't tell you a consistent story, and there just isn't much variety. It will get stale. That didn't put me off though, but there was a significant drop in Alpha 2 users very early on. That's not because the devs are not working or not listening, and this isn't specifically tied only to questing. Intrepid were transparent that these things were being tested, and Alpha 2 would have given them a ton of valuable feedback, but the point remains, many people jumped in expecting more. To give you my experience of Alpha 2, I jumped in back in November and gave some early thoughts in this video here. My feedback at the time was positive for the state of the game's development. Not that I'm an expert or know that much about game development, but the game's systems as they're implemented show a pretty solid vision for the future. Combat was engaging and felt challenging without being dull. I enjoyed that the game's difficulty promoted player interactions, encouraging you to group up with others in an area to tackle challenges. I loved the caravan system. To move large amounts of resources from one settlement to another, you need to use caravans to transit items over long distances in bulk. They could, however, be attacked by another group of players. This led to really interesting PvP scenarios early in the phase, but as player counts dwindled, so did these systems in the world. I could see an emerging world evolving out of this in the future, but players need to remember that in an alpha, you're not going to be getting a full experience. And as a result, I was able to engage in caravanning, but it wasn't something I saw used that often. Through Alpha 2, they also released a new class in the Rogue, naval combat, and expanded the map to include the new desert area as well as the Turquoise Sea. We also saw new points of interest released as well. But this is where expectations need to be tempered. Naval combat being a great example, and the caravans too. They exist in the alpha, but they're incredibly underutilized. This comes back to what I was saying about systems being underbaked and being unable to achieve goals. These systems aren't there to be fully functioning pieces of content, but to be tested by players. Some players will have a fantastic time testing those functions, and I enjoyed testing caravans, but you need to consider how your own mileage will vary. Do you want to try and engage people in caravanning when current bugs meaning they may be able to cheese you out of any form of victory? Do you want to spend time getting yourself to the stage of having a boat, simply to cruise around with little to no purpose? I want to be clear, I'm not bashing the alpha or Intrepid. Everything I'm saying here is the purpose of the alpha. It's designed to be tested, not played. But you'll find many players who get that enjoyment from testing, and to them, or people like me, there's value in it. But you've got to make that call yourself. Just make it while being fully informed. Because while the question, is Ashes of Creation fun, is common on the subreddit, other questions like, what's there to do, Is another equally as common question, as people jump in expecting early access quality and finding something quite different. With Phase 3 on the horizon, releasing in just a couple of weeks on August 4th, we'll be seeing more added to the game. But more doesn't necessarily mean a larger, more fleshed out experience. That will come in time. Phase 3 will be focused on implementing their dynamic gridding system, introducing a new starting location called the Anvils, a revamp of questing and the tutorial systems, improvements to performance, transition to Unreal Engine 5, an economy revamp, which in Phase 2 the economy was rough, as well as a few new races and their summoner class, although they've stated this may not come on the start of Phase 3. And maybe more importantly, they will be opening up the servers for 24/7 access instead of the 5-day testing periods of Alpha 2. Because of this, I'll be jumping into playtests more than I did in Alpha 2, and will likely make a few videos regarding this. If you're deciding to hold off on Ashes for the time being and want to track its progress, subscribe to the channel. Phase 3 will also introduce a wipe to all progress, and it won't be the last. It'll show us the company's greater vision for questing, the economy, and their ongoing work on classes, and their interesting server meshing technology that's still waiting to be fully released and realized. Ashes of Creation represents to me one of the last great hopes for the MMO genre. It's had steady progression through Phase 2, not as much as some may like, but the company's ongoing transparency surrounding development and monthly dev streams have kept me quite engaged. So let me know in the comments, have you been testing Ashes? Are you trying to keep a close, keen eye on the project? Or has the state of the game put you off tracking it for the time being? What I see in the community is a fairly even divide between players who think the game has too much friction in it, making it more reliant on groups to engage in the more meaningful content, and a lack of cohesion in a game that will live or die based on its ability to maintain player engagement long term. Something that I enjoy the sound of thoroughly. The other half seem to be erring on the side of caution, enjoying the transparent approach to development, the regular updates, and seeing the vision for the game, basically trusting the process. Where it ends up is anyone's guess for now. You've got to make your call though. Is it worth paying for you? If you take anything away from this video, let it be that this is an alpha test, not something like an early access. I think a lot of people see the words alpha test, they see people streaming it, they see people making content on it, and they think there is much more to do in this game today. There is fun to be had, but I've enjoyed it knowing that I've come in trying to understand what the vision is. And playing this gave me a greater understanding of that vision. You might be able to get that yourself simply by watching a few YouTube videos, watching a few streams. But don't let people releasing content and streaming the game trick you into thinking that there is more here than meets the eye. Again, I picked this up because I saw value myself in trying this out, but I don't necessarily think that value is there for everyone. And the $100 price tag just to jump in is quite a high one. So if this hasn't convinced you, and I'm not trying to, but if it hasn't convinced you to try it, I would recommend holding off. Wait to see what the beta looks like, or just wait until full release. At the moment, you can still buy access. I would hope that they give people notice if they are going to strip that away. But with these companies, you never really know. So play it by ear and make the decision that's right for you. Thanks for checking out this video. Ashes is an interesting project. It seems like they're building a game that lines up with exactly what I want, but it's also a fine line. If they lean too far in a direction, I could see it toppling over. But I'll be there for Phase 3. I got my key back before Phase 2, and I'm curious to be part of testing for this. If you are too, or if you're wanting to see how Phase 3 looks week 1, stay tuned to the channel. I plan to stream some of the Phase 3 Tuesdays and Thursdays, 4 PM Australian and Western Standard Time, right here on YouTube and Twitch. Until then guys, thank you very much for watching. Throw a like on the video, sub if you want to see more, and I hope this helped give you some clarity on that question of whether it's worth it to you. Thanks again, and I'll catch you in the next one. Cheers.